What's good, everybody? Happy Wednesday. I don't know. I just show up and work every day. I do what I do. Welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. We are financial advisors. This is our stock market update show. We just like to update our customers as well as you guys, let you know what's going on in the overall markets today, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll cover it all. If you are one of our customers, by the way, tomorrow night, we're going to step away from the whole retirement, long-term investing thing. We're going to focus on active trading. A lot of our customers say, hey, Dustin, you handle the long-term stuff. I like to buy and sell and have a little fun in the short term. So we're going to cover the three different types of margin, how they work, how you can, be careful not to get in trouble, and how to understand them. A lot of people are, they say margin's the worst thing on the planet. It's just because they don't understand how it works. So we're going to cover that in detail. Of course, I'll keep it simple for everybody so we don't lose you and bring you up to speed. All right. Also, once a month, we do a portfolio update for our customers. Can't wait to do this month's. If you go to our website, you click on events, you can actually see the classes that we do for our customers in there and see, how things go. Also, next Thursday, if you happen to know Josh Scanlon over at Heritage Wealth Financial Planning on his YouTube channel, a lot of people watch him as well. He'll be here in the studio, so he's going to join me at 1 o'clock. We're going to do a Q&A session live here on YouTube for you. And then also he'll join me for the Closing Beat. We'll see how that goes. If you know Josh, you probably be pretty interested to see his thoughts on the market and things like that. So, all right, let's get into the markets today. We got the Dow down 100 points today, just, little lower day. 8 points on the S&P, NASDAQ down 34. If you look at the chart below, that's like a 5-minute time period of the overall stock market. I really felt like the stock market put in a low and said, okay, this is our floor. We're just not going to budge. Right? All day today, there was many opportunities for it to break down, and we just found some support in there. So all in all, I think that's pretty good. We'll look over here at the charts for you. You can see the S&P today, very narrow range day, typical summertime action, well, almost summertime, but typical late May action there with a little bit of support. Right? I'll just kind of point that out. If you're one of our customers, our last portfolio update, we sort of went over this. I will, of course, touch on it again in our next one. You had some news come out which initially helped push the markets lower, that the U.S. is going to potentially ban 5 other Chinese companies. And if you follow the Chinese news overnight, comments from President Xi and his whole administration make it seem like they're not only not going to talk about trade going forward, but they're going to find ways to buy their own stuff versus buy from America. Some pretty tough comments over there from them. You also had some bad news for a couple different companies that were spread out all over the different areas of the market, so we'll cover that as well. Later in the day here, you had Fed minutes come out. Fed minutes, by the way, you notice how I don't make a big deal out of those and what to expect and do this or that or whatever, or all the stats on it, because Fed minutes are, they're old news, really. This is 3 weeks old. The data we're getting, this has already happened 3 weeks ago. So the Fed made comments that they're not going to make any rate changes, even if the economy improves even more. They're not going to change rates this year. However, that was before all this China stuff. That was before this sort of heightened next stages here. So a lot of people are like, I don't know, that was 3 weeks ago. What's the latest there? So not a whole lot of news in those terms. Actually, not a whole lot to respond to there. And the markets felt the same way. A little bit of gyration there right around the 2 o'clock Eastern time. And that was pretty much it. As far as the stock or S&P goes today, you got 27 new 52-week highs, mostly utilities and financials. However, caveat there is the financial. It wasn't the big banks. It was like the credit card companies and stuff. You had 10 new 52-week lows, and that was mostly retail again. Oil, because oil had a bad day, and CenturyLink, CTL, 52-week lows. I feel like I say that like almost every day. That poor company. Not too good there. As far as the S&P 500 goes, the number of stocks currently trading above the 50-day moving average, which is the blue line on the charts here, that's at 47%, 46.9 to be exact. That is at lows of the year so far. So we started, as the markets were doing well, we had over 97% of the stocks in the S&P 500 above the 50-day moving average. We're down to half that, right? 46.9. New home sales tomorrow, that could affect your home builders, but we'll go into the individual sectors here and take a look. Notice XLV back at the top of the list. I'm not saying you buy this, right? I'm not like making a recommendation here. I'm just saying for the last 3 days, I've pointed out the relative strength in the healthcare stocks, just as something that you maybe want to keep an eye on. I don't know what you do in your free time, but Whenever I see something interesting, I try to point it out. And starting on Monday, we had that sort of relative strength. Markets were lower, and XLV finished basically flat on the day, down just like a fraction of a percent. And we've been seeing relative strength ever since. Now, people won't do anything with this. The exciting moment, like we've been talking about, comes if it breaks out. This just may be the first hint that it's trying to break out there. So I just want to keep pointing that out to you if that's something that helps you out. Or you have healthcare stocks and you're just kind of cheering them on. That's cool too. A lot of relative strength and a lot of things to be excited about there if you're in the healthcare space. Utilities, that's your biggest mover of the week so far, meaning from last week's lows to this week's highs. Utilities are your biggest movers. Healthcare is your second biggest mover so far with that relative strength in there. And communication services comes in third as the biggest mover from last week's lows to this week's highs. I think I'm going to start pointing that out more so you could tell, like, where's the action going in the markets overall. Consumer discretionary hasn't done a whole lot this week. Consumer staples pretty much flat. Financials a little bit stronger, but pretty much flat in there as well. A lot of the talk today comes from oil. I'll use USO just to track that with you. USO lower, the price of oil lower on the day today. Every week, provided that it's a normal week, like next week, Monday the markets are closed, so the oil inventory report will come out on Thursday. But in normal weeks, they come out on Wednesday, 10:30 in the morning, Eastern time. And today, week over week, we saw a 4.7 million barrel increase in our U.S. stockpiles here. We were expecting to see a drawdown of 600,000. We're into the summertime season. There's a lot more demand. We were expecting to see this drawdown. Instead, we got 4.7 million barrel increase. It just adds to the choppiness of oil. Not very cool there if you're a long-term investor. If you're short-term, you're having a blast. Transports, they were lower today, 1.6%, almost to the lowest, the bottom of the list. This is all news. Everything from like the fourth sector ETF down to the worst performer, all news-driven, very much headline news-driven. Basically, Trump said, I'm not doing anything on infrastructure while the Democrats are going to keep picking on me, saying I'm doing a bunch of stuff wrong. I don't know if he is or not. I don't follow that sort of thing. But Trump basically came out and said, I can't negotiate while you guys are picking on me with this, so we're not doing infrastructure. Shot the whole deal just like that. So we'll see how it goes. Democrats, half of them are still pushing forward with impeachment process. The sort of more celebrity side of the Democrats, they're trying to get them to hold off. But they're also still poking and pushing to get his financial records. For what? I don't know. Like, what's the point of this? Go do work, guys. Republicans, Democrats, do work. Make our country better. I don't care if someone really was worth $1 billion or if they're not quite worth $1 billion and shows a lot of losses on their tax returns. If they're gaming the system, fix the system. Like, let's move on from this. So, to me, it's a lot of political nonsense, and it's only going to get worse because, it's getting to be political season. You got Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders going to Walmart. Their annual meeting, he's going to go to Walmart and say, you know what, the employees deserve a seat on the board of directors there. I mean, I'm sure he's not an idiot. You don't get to that point in your life by being a dumb person, but that's a dumb suggestion. To me, I don't know. I think it's a distraction, and I think it's just for him trying to gain attention, and it worked. Can't blame a brother for getting attention. He did it. So for that, I guess he's a genius. Semiconductors, they sold off a little bit lower here today. A lot of the tech trade back and forth, right? So we're still trying to figure out what's actually going to happen with, of course, Google laying off on working with Huawei, how the chip stocks are going to really be impacted if we really do not offer chips to these companies, or that company anymore. So semiconductors near the bottom of the list. And retail was mostly earnings related here today. Lowe's was the biggest one, had a 12% decline on the day. Really just horrible earnings. And Lowe's, by the way, is the biggest seller of appliances, right? They dominate, like by far. They beat Home Depot. They beat Best Buy. They beat them all. So Lowe's sells the most amount of appliances. And they basically said on appliances over $500, we've already had to raise prices 5%. We're already seeing reduced margins of over 5% in that case, and because of the tariffs, and they're really worried about the future tariffs. So they guided lower. Earnings overall, it was kind of mixed. It wasn't horrible, but because of the guidance and everything, lower. That stock took a decent hit today. Target did the exact opposite. You want the definition of a very, very good earnings report, then you'll want to look at Target. Target beat on earnings by 10 cents. Revenues came in just as expected, and they guided forward like nothing's wrong. They basically said, hey, we got everything going on here. Improved web traffic as well. So Target looking pretty good there. We got to talk about Tesla. Tesla back below 200. Remember yesterday we talked about Morgan Stanley saying, worst case, we think the stock's going to go to $10. And I kind of bashed them for that. I don't really like that. But anyways, Citi came out and said, hey, we want to do this too. So worst case, we think Tesla goes to $36. Their price targets are here, but they're giving you this as well. I really don't like that. Make up your mind, do your research, give me adjust your price target then. If you think it's going lower, adjust your price target. Anyways, also Consumer Staples, Consumer Reports put out a report that they have some serious safety concerns. Those 3 words are theirs, not mine. Serious safety concerns about the autopilot feature in Tesla. So bad news piling up here for Tesla, further creating the waterfall-looking drop. FANG stocks mostly did okay today. You look at Facebook, just a tiny little gain on the day, not a problem there. If we look at that's not going to do it. If we look at Apple overall, Apple is the only one out of the group didn't do too well. If you look at some of the bigger ones, when they get FAANG is how everybody spells FANG now. Netflix, not too bad on the day, and then Alphabet as well. Just a small gain. Not like they were heroes today or anything magical happened, just FANG stocks kind of did their thing. Avon, up higher than that. There was a report that they were getting bought out by another company. That became official after the market closed. Avon sharply higher after hours here. If we stay with like the retail space here, Nordstrom loses 10%. That's new 52-week lows. That was one of the ones we mentioned earlier, new 52-week lows. Qualcomm giving back most of its Apple settlement gains now, trading down about 11%. You really don't mind if you owned it anywhere here. If you're a long-term investor, you're just kind of like, oh, it was all exciting, and now you're going to take away all my gains there? That sucks. Antitrust ruling on Qualcomm. This is normal for them, by the way. They eventually settle. If you're familiar with the whole legal process with this, or legal history of this company, it's nothing they haven't been through before. The only difference here is that if they're forced to spin off some of their business or divide or break up some of their business, I actually think that's bullish. So you're going to hear a lot of negative headlines about, oh no, what if they have to spin off part of their business? I think that would be very, very bullish. We could probably do a whole 20 minutes on that one. I just like studying Qualcomm. Wynn Resorts really didn't change a whole lot today. The news is slightly old. They are not going to be selling their Boston casino. I forget the name of it. I remember it was $2.6 billion, and I thought, that's a lot of money. They have ended discussions to sell that one there. Sprint and T-Mobile in the news again here today. The deal seems to be falling apart. The Department of Justice is currently recommending that the deal be blocked and they don't move forward. They were not happy with the concessions. Remember last week we talked about what they were planning to do. They were going to go ahead and sell off their prepaid cell service, and I mentioned that this was sort of like a taste for the Department of Justice. Let's see. The Sprint and T-Mobile were like, let's just see if we can do something really simple here, but make it look like a big deal and say, we're selling off our prepaid business. We'll let somebody else have that part of the world. Now can we merge? And it's one of those things where, we already saw through that. Like if I saw through that, you think the Department of Justice kind of saw through that? So that's what's going on there. And I think I've covered all the stocks I want to cover. I believe so. Number of overbought stocks in the S&P 500 currently sits at 140. So the number of overbought stocks is growing. It was 118 last week. Oversold stocks 137 versus 154 last week. So stocks that are selling off, that pace is slowing. That's important to note. That also gives you the same feeling of, hey, the market's sort of held in there today. It wasn't all that bad. Could have been a really, really bad day. And it wasn't that bad of a day. Gold, also your biggest commodity dropper for the week, right? So gold having the biggest swing from last week's highs to this current week's lows, and that's that. Where's my notes? I have a piece of paper here. It's got some notes on it, and then I'll take questions if you have any. Best Buy going to report earnings tomorrow. BJ's tomorrow. Autodesk after the close tomorrow. Hewlett-Packard, Intuit, And Ross Stores, some of the bigger names that will be reporting tomorrow. Whirlpool is having their investor day tomorrow, so that'll probably make headlines. Whirlpool, of course, sells appliances, and we want to see the sort of tariff effects that they may have if they hint at it. Maybe they don't say anything, but there will, I promise you, there will be reporters sitting there waiting, watching every word. We'll see if they say anything. And it's ex-dividend day for Honeywell, Hershey's, and Carnival Cruise Lines. If you happen to own those stocks, you are getting paid 82 cents, 72 cents, and 50 cents a share, respectively. I like dividend day. So it's not the day you get paid. It's just ex. If you own the stock today, and you bought it, or prior to today, then you will be getting paid on the payday. It's not actually payday yet, but you've locked it in. If you hang on to the stock, that's what that means there. Also means the stock would have adjusted today. Okay. Yep, I've covered everything. Let's see if you have any questions there. Apple, Harry says, man, I like Apple at 80. That's what I'm looking for. Not 180. You didn't mean to put a 1 on there. You're saying 80. Holy cow. You guys don't mind driving yourself? The other day, so if you know, like the studio is actually in a massive warehouse, right? I mean, it looks like it's all nice back there. It's not a green screen. That's where we work. But so I went out back, and they're building a whole new thing there. I wanted to see what was going on. And a Tesla was stopped in the middle of the road. First time I've ever seen a Tesla live in person from a standstill just bolt. You heard, there was nothing. You heard like just the tires on the road, and that thing took off. That was impressive. I've never seen that before, so I don't know. I was impressed. It doesn't take much for me. Is there any bull case for oil and gas exploration? Well, if you like discounts, you'd be, for the next 6 months or so, you'd be fighting some sort of seasonal headwinds there, if you want to be fancy and use that terminology. But if you like discounts, oil and gas exploration, be choosy. Go through the sector, maybe look up the XOP holdings and go through those and see if you can find something you like. I would be choosy. I don't think it's necessarily a time where I'd just say, I'll take the whole sector. It's kind of a stock picker's world over there right now, so I would do that. That would be my approach. Stefan says, can I buy the S&P 500 on Robinhood? I don't know. I'm not actually allowed to use outside programs. I know you can buy ETFs, and that'll get you into the S&P if that's what you want. Yeah. There are maybe 4 or 5 good ones there you take a look at. Yeah. Tesla, Lance, man, Lance, worst case scenario on Tesla, 0. Hey, well, I mean, we can argue they're definitely overvalued at this point. 0, though? Man, what are they going to do with all those Teslas? Thanks for the help there, Matthew. Love it. Perfect. Oh, everybody. Thank you, guys. Helping everybody out. That's so nice of you. Look at you guys. Okay, well, I've said everything I want to say for the day. We will be back tomorrow to do this all over again. No 1 o'clock show tomorrow. My daughter's graduating. Hey, I know, I don't look that old, but she's graduating, so we're going to get prepared for that. Friday's graduation at 7:30 in the morning. Like, what? So, but there won't be any 1 o'clock show. We'll still do the closing beat, of course, and keep you updated on that. You have a great rest of your day. If I helped you in some way, maybe you will like to hit the subscribe button. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. We do track the number of days that the lights have been red versus green, by the way, just so you know. Wait till you see the portfolio update on for this month. You're gonna be surprised. We're going nuts with the data. So much stuff, but it's good. I like knowing this stuff, and who knows who it might help. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See you then.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.